Oops. Hey Glue Troopers, Max and Max's Models here, and I finished that Welsh Models vacuform Convair 440 in the North Central colors, and it was, and what is the old saying that I just made up about primer? You know, it shows all the mistakes loud and clear, and I thought I'd sanded everything down, got it all taken care of, but when I actually put the gloss aluminum paint on it, a few more uglinesses and mistakes showed up, so I sanded them down. But got it cleaned up, clear coated, and then started putting the decals on. And I put 2 coats of decal restore fluid on the decals. Probably a good thing that I did. Just didn't want to risk it. Those decals are old. For the most part, I was able to get them on okay, and they did lay down, but they were definitely showing some yellowing of the film and everything a little bit. But it was tricky, especially those long, skinny decals. And these decals were by ATP. And I don't know if they were made for this kit or another one. They didn't exactly fit right, but close enough. I was able to make it work well enough. I did put the landing gear on it. In fact, I had tested it a few times. It was nose heavy, but when I put the wheels on it, it flopped back on its tail. And I think the reason was silly me, I did the test before I put the horizontal stabilizers on it. And as you remember, one of those horizontal stabilizers I filled with putty to fill it in. And I didn't, brainiac here, genius, my blonde was showing. So, of course, that added a lot of weight to the tail. So I cut out where the nose gear would go in, got some of the split shot, cut them in half, was able to poke them through the hole. Then I just pumped in some CA glue and then pumped in some accelerator. And it worked. And got the wheels on it. Stays on its nose now. Then I got the decals on it. And the last thing I did was the props. I did try to cut out the props that came with it. Needless to say, that did not go well. Where they joined the prop hub was so small that they snapped every time I tried. There's nothing to work with there. But I saved the other one, and I dug through my stash, and luckily me, I found 2 proper scale 3-bladed props. So, and I had the perfect guide to trim them with. So I trimmed off the square tips and put them in the, when that was the last thing I did was CA glued the props on them. And, from a distance, looks okay. Looks good up on the shelf. Here's a couple of beauty photos. But I, believe me, the blemishes show real easy. But it was making a few improvements over the last one, which is admittedly a pretty low bar. And I've got that B10 from Rare Planes, and I'm thinking, I'm going to lay that out here and maybe just work on that when I have nothing else going on. And also I have a big 1/32 scale Red Arrows vacuform, the BAE Hawk that Ricky Wolf gave me. And it's been sitting in here since the old Tarbis. Well, half these kits have been here from the old Tarbis, but it's just one of those things that I've been meaning to get to it. Its parts are already cut out. So I might take that on, but that's when I'm going to have to put some pretty big tabs on and build some internal structure, because it's that thin plastic and it's so big that it flexes. And Ricky is like a professional model builder. He does resin and vac all the time, and he sent me some pictures in the past, and OMG, he does such fantastic work, but the work is exactly what it is. And great stuff, though. And you've seen some of his work in some of the viewers' builds. So once I got that done, the first thing I did, as soon as I had the last decal on it, before I even clear coated it or anything, I'd put the solva set on it. But before I give a chance for any of these decals to curl or anything else, I'm going to set it over here and get a couple of hero photos. So at least I got some photographs of it should disaster strike. And then once I got that done on the shelf, I'll probably clear coat it tomorrow. I may paint the wheels black, but I wasn't really going to worry about it at this point. There's only so much lipstick you can put on a pig, and the pig isn't the kit; it's my work. But this got me looking into North Central Airlines. I knew all about it and went over the Wikipedia page, and I did know a fair bit about it because I used to fly on Republic all the time. And for those who don't know, North Central Airlines was an airline up in it was up in Wisconsin. Back in the 30s, this company was making transmissions for trucks, heavy duty trucks. And they opened a little flight department with a Waco biplane. Now, something that happened during World War II, my dad told me that because he was a kid during World War II, that all general aviation was grounded. If you weren't in the Civil Air Patrol or a commercial airline, you couldn't fly. So apparently around 44, they got the bride of the executives of the company. I don't know if they were able to, they may have gotten exemptions so they could fly their Waco around for company use, or maybe it was grounded, I don't know. But in 44, they said, hey, let's just go ahead and start an airline. We'll call it Wisconsin Central. And after the war, 46, they got a couple of Cessna Bobcats, and my dad used to call the Bamboo Bomber, and then started a little airline, and it grew. And it grew pretty well. Enough so that in 52, they moved the headquarters from Madison, Wisconsin to Minneapolis. And then they changed their name to North Central. And in 1947, they came up with Herman the Duck, which they kept for 40 years until their merger actually, they kept Herman the Duck when they merged with Southern to become Republic Airlines. And I remember flying on Republic with Herman the Duck on the tail. And I always thought it was a cool logo. I like that blue and aqua green, or whatever you call those colors. And then when Republic merged with Northwest, it might have still been Northwest Orient back then, or maybe it was just straight Northwest, I forget. But that's the end of Herman the Duck in the mid-'80s. But they were a Midwestern airline, and they were flying jets. I mean, they started off in these little airplanes, but they wound up flying a lot of Convairs. They bought a lot of Convair 580s and then converted some of their prop jobs to 580 standard by putting the Allison turbines on them. Pretty sure those are Allisons. And then they moved into jets, DC-9s and 727s. In fact, the very first model of Max's Models as a business was a Long Prosper Republic Airlines 727 with Herman the Duck on the tail, which I still have. I forgot all about that. I bought it at a little model airplane kiosk at Boston Logan when I was a Beech 1900 FO for Mesa. So that would have been about 98. And that was where Max's Models, as you know it today, began. This was before I even had a website or an email. In fact, trying to start a little online business is why I got my first email. Not including the ones they give you at school, which belong to the school. I was actually in the Army when North Central bought Southern Airways and formed Republic. I think it was the very month I went in the Army. I think I went active duty in June of 79, and this merger took place in July. So, yeah. Southern is actually the airline I would have taken. I remember the billboards for it because I was going from Fort Campbell, Kentucky to Tallahassee. And North Central definitely didn't fly that, but Southern did. So when they merged, I was flying on what would have been old Southern routes. Anyway, enough of that. So the kit's on the shelf, and I moseyed over and started working on this super hook, the Gunzilla. And I was playing around with different engine and weapon pod placements, trying to figure out where to put stuff. And so I finally came up with, I'm going to put the third engine, I'm going to use one of the engines, because remember, this was missing the bullet, the nose bullet for one of the engines. So I took the one that was complete, painted it black, and I'm sanding, filed it down, and now I've got it's going to mount in the center in front of the aft tail section. I'm not actually sure what you call that. Tower? Boom? What do you call the part of a Chinook helicopter in back that sticks up? I mean, I guess it works a little bit like a vertical stabilizer, but it's much more than that because it houses all kinds of gearing and everything and transmission. So we'll just call it the aft section. Anyway, then I was figuring out where do I want to put the other engines. Well, I finally figured I'm going to mount them all in the rear because that just makes more sense. But I don't have the other engines that came with it. But I did have some E262 engines, and the 172nd scale ones looked a little small, and the 148 scale ones looked a little big. And I thought, I know the solution. I'll use the little engines and mount them, because the big engines I have don't have any engines in them. They're just the shells. So, we will put the little engine inside the big nacelle, which fits surprisingly well. And that way, the big outer shell, which looks a little too big, is actually an acoustic and thermal shroud, thereby with the whole back end being basically cooling vanes. So that would, but when you look in front, you'll see the front of the engine. So like, yeah, okay, that works. It would be more streamlined if I just used the little engines, but they look a little small. So I was like, yeah, that's going to look cool. And you got the third engine in the middle, which I'm going to put an exhaust on the rear, like DC-10 or L-1011 style, because the air's going in, it's got to go out somewhere. Of course, it could just be ducted out of those other shrouds on the side too, so that's a possibility. I'll keep playing with it. Playing with a couple of gun arrangements. I have one turret. I think this is the belly turret off of a Revell B-25 Mitchell, and I found some large guns. I was like, oh, those are going to look great sticking out of there. But I'm trying to figure out, do I want to mount it on the rear as some kind of aft defense weapon, or do I want to mount it on the chin as a chin weapon? And I think it looks better on front. I'll put some sort of aft defense on it. And then, let's see, what else was over? The sponsons are going to stick out the side. As they look cooler swept forward or swept back, I think they look more awesome swept forward. So I started painting those and getting ready to mount those. And those will have the weapons, the rockets and missiles and stuff on them. And I thought about putting more engines on it. Oh, that would look wizard. But after a while, it starts looking a little ridiculous. Well, then again, this almost is starting to remind me of making a helicopter for Thunderbirds, and which is not a bad thing. Speaking of making helicopters and rotor blades and stuff, I set this box in a bad place. It flopped on the floor and snapped one of the rotor blades. But this is one of them that didn't have the whole mechanism to begin with. So that's clamping, being glued back together. But it said I was going to make those little like stealth dishes for the top. And I said, I need something smooth and round. And I found these little stands from the Revell World War I kits. And I had to tape them off and seal them with putty and sand them down. I got one getting primed just to check it out. But those will work nicely. They're a little smaller than I want, but they'll do. And they're going to go on top of the rotor blades. That'll both hide the missing components, plus I can glue the rotor blades to them and give them a little more support, because those, even with all the parts, these Auroa Chinook rotor blades do not have a lot holding them in place. And that's one reason I decided to use some Gorilla Glue on them. Didn't really do as good a job as I'd hoped, but weak structure is weak structure. I also realized I had talked about painting the white marks on top of the rotor blades. Well, when I put the blade back on, I was like, hey, wait a minute, that white mark's on the bottom. And I finally realized I got one of them on the wrong side. But that's okay. So now I have one facing up and one facing down. Even cooler. I'm thinking about putting retracting landing gear on it, but a lot of folks said, you need to make it amphibious, put it on floats. And I've kind of come up with an intermediate. I have another H-19 that's got another set of floats. If I put the four of them together, I can make like a raft that the helicopter can detach from. So it can land on wheels, but if it's got to go land on water, it can attach this like quick release floats and go that way with the gear retracted. And I might do that. So there's a lot of options still out there, but I'm really having fun with it. Half the fun's just in designing and deciding what you want to do with it. But anyway, so I was going to drag out another kit and get started. But I figured, you know what? I've got another vac kit. Well, actually, two more vac kits and the helicopter to work on. Maybe I'll just put my effort in here for right now. But sometimes you just want to work on something different, go back to a regular styrene kit. So I'll probably drag out another model here before too long. And so that was how today went. I got a little bit of an earlier start, but after a while I was just kind of not really feeling it. And one thing that made me realize is you've got to be in the mood to build. I build almost every day, and sometimes you're not really feeling it. And when that happens, you just need to take a day off and go do something else. Oh, one more thing. Today is the deadline for the first kit or early kit build, and I haven't got started on it. I'll probably start on it tomorrow, so there might be a minor grace period, but please get those in today if you can, or perhaps tomorrow morning. All right, guys, now back to our regularly scheduled sign-off. So there you go. That's the day. Guys, we'll talk to you later. You take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.